You're now on the phone. Right. I see what's going on now. Right. Fuck's sake. I'm fine. Was it 5-3 or something? 5-3. We beat Dunfermline 2-0, was it? Come on. Right. Good. Right.
Hello and welcome to Head Talk. I'm your host as always, Gav. Joining me today is Dave.
All right.
Papa Stu.
All right, guys.
And Stuart.
All right.
Guys, how you getting on?
Good, man. You?
Yeah.
Not too
good.
bad.
How was your weekend, Dave?
Decent, man. Yours?
Yeah. Sunday was recovering. Drank way too much rum and really paid the consequences for it on the Sunday, and a wee bit today, if I'm honest. It's a bit ridiculous, the 2-day hangover, but yeah, what about yourself? I know you drank a lot as well. Did you recover?
Oh, mate, I was absolutely hanging. And then I sounded a wee bit, you can see, because we were singing and that as well. Voice was a wee bit hoarse, but apart from that, no, it was good. It was good to see everybody in that. And
Yeah.
Craig enjoyed his cell and was happy with his presence and that. So
Yeah, Craig, who's on last week's show, it's his birthday today, but there was a surprise garden party for him on Saturday, so a few of us there for that, and like I say, paying for it yesterday. But happy birthday to Craig from all of us, of course. Papa Stu, how was your weekend?
It was not too bad. Quite quiet. I just seen the videos and the photographs of you guys in the garden and yourself. Made my day. So it was good, and happy birthday to Craig as well.
Good day out of the fort yesterday.
Say it again.
A good day out of the fort yesterday, Glasgow Fort.
It was okay. It was, well, you seen the rain, so we came back, and I came back to Livingston, and the rain started. It was get camped in the house yesterday. No, the flash flooded, but
yeah.
So nothing to write him. Nothing. Wasn't doing much, so I wasn't hanging, Dave.
Stuart, how was your weekend?
It was bloody awful. Thanks for asking, Gav. I made the grievous error of going to my local bar and watching England absolutely hump the Ukraine, surrounded by probably about 70 odd England fans who were all going nuts. Apparently, something's getting delivered to somewhere. There's something about German bombers. There's something else. There are a shout of puddle drinkers, honestly. I can't wait for the Danes to put them in their place on Wednesday. I'm just praying. Or will it make it sweeter when Italy absolutely annihilate them in the final? I don't know. But please, come on, football gods. We don't ask a lot as Hibs fans. I'm willing to combine some of
never get it.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to be listening to now.
I'd rather them get beat to Denmark. I couldn't get that in the final. That would do me in. It'll ruin the day to watch the final if they're there.
Does anyone know how much it is to buy somewhere in Japan? I'm quite happy to leave the country and no return. I can join in the Hibs talk from there. Be awesome.
Just move back up the road, mate. It's fine.
That'll be fine. I can do that.
Yeah. So obviously we're this, I'll be honest, it's one of my favourite podcasts to do. We're going to be having a chat about the squad. We kind of do this every sort of summer, chatting about where the squad's at, what it needs, who maybe needs to go, and things like that. We've had to kind of adjust some of our notes today because there's been some changes which we're kind of talk about. I'd kind of had down in my notes about Jackson Irvine now being a free agent and would see him back, but no, of course, I can go to the image here. He has signed for that team. I can't remember their names. Anybody got it to hand?
St. Pauli.
Yeah. So fair play to him. But Dave, your reactions to him not coming back?
Well, he's half decent when he kind of wants to be, isn't he? But too many games where he just didn't have an impact, and so I'm honestly not that arsed. If any of that 11 that got beat St. Johnson can, in my eyes, go. I didn't mean that in a petty way, but like if we've got a squad of players that the opportunities we had last season, if they can't deliver it, then they're replaceable. So we might want him to stay, you might think he's all right player and that, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to break my heart at him, and he obviously didn't want to stay either. So that's fine. I wish him all the best in that.
Papa, Stu, your reaction?
A wee bit in the same lines as Dave. I'm not that fussed. He was a good player for us. If he wanted to stay, he would have. But I was thinking about before coming on the show. I was thinking that maybe he was just a stopgap for Scott Allen for being injured. No, for not being well. So I think that he maybe wasn't in the plans for this season anyway.
Yeah, aye. Sure.
There was clearly an offer on the table for him. We would have wanted him to be part of it. I stand by what I've said on a previous podcast. I think give Jackson Irvine a full pre-season, then he probably would be one of the better players in the midfield in the SPL out with the old firm. So it's a bit of a shame to see him go. However, from the performances he put in from January for us, I don't know if he was quite worth the money that was kind of being bandied about for him. And obviously, we don't know what deal he's just signed for there. He goes with well wishes and things like that, but I don't think there's going to be too many broken-hearted Highbees out there today.
Yeah. On the sort of finances, Callum, who's done a bit of work on it, he sort of says that he's looked into it. The total wage bill for Hibs is roughly about 3.3 million a year. Their total wage budget is 7.4 million, so more than double. So they've obviously got a bit more cash to go about. Obviously a bigger offer for him. Best of luck to him. Like I say, potentially sort of stopgap and help deliver third at the end of the day. Maybe didn't deliver something else that he should have, but I'm sure we could get into that a bit more on another time. But on a more positive news, Hibs have signed Jake Doyle Hayes. So Jack Ross has made his second summer signing, adding talented 22-year-old midfielder Jake Doyle Hayes to the squad on a 2-year deal. He's won one cap for the Republic of Ireland under 21s and made 30 appearances for St Mirren last season in all competitions. He scored his first goal against Livingston in a 1-0 victory. And he said, after speaking to the manager, I was delighted to get this opportunity. I'm sure you guys are ready to talk about him, but I do have a bit prepared here. I spoke to Mark earlier on today from Misery Hunters, the St Mirren podcast, to give us a bit of insight about what we can expect from him. So here is Mark. So joining me now from the Part-Time Fan blog and also from the St Mirren podcast, Misery Hunters, is Mark. Mark, how are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Thanks for getting me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. So we're going to have a quick chat today, obviously, about Hibs' new signing. So what can you tell us about Jake? What kind of midfielder is he?
I think if you take the first 2 or 3 months after we signed him, you'd be getting, certainly in most of our opinions, one of the most promising midfielders in the league. He started really, really well, really classy midfielder, added just a bit of composure on the ball that I don't think we necessarily had as we tried to transition into more of a possession-based team. Holding on to the ball for a bit longer. He fitted right into that and was a key part in our turning form. But that did fade away a bit over the course of the season. He had a couple of injuries which he rushed back from, and he wasn't quite the same player towards the end. But in theory, he's a properly exciting and technically really solid midfield player.
So you mentioned there a bit of a mixed season for him, 30 games in total. So was it, you said it was a better start, but overall was it a good season for him, or?
Yeah, positive season. I think most St Mirren fans would probably have wanted him to stay if it wasn't for the kind of contract side of things, which I think rubbed some people up the wrong way. But generally speaking, if you're talking only about his performances on the pitch, it was definitely more positive than negative for sure. And he's definitely a very talented footballer. It's maybe the frustration at our side was just that we didn't see it for the entirety of the season. And based on how he spoke, we thought it would probably be more than one season as well. So a little bit of frustration.
How are you feeling ahead of next season going without him in the midfield?
I think he would have been a starter, absolutely, if he'd stayed in a really key part of the midfield. I don't know that there's someone there who's a natural replacement necessarily. We've signed Alan Power from Kilmarnock, who's I think a bit more of a destroyer, which make more sense sitting in front of our back four. At times we played Doyle Hayes really deep last year, and although I think he says he's good at his best screening the back four and playing kind of long, incisive passes, his best stuff for us was when he had a bit more support behind him and he could just focus on carrying possession and taking the ball in tight spots and picking out kind of at times quite long passes. I think he'd probably have been better with his next season with someone beside him or behind him doing that role and freeing him up a bit, whereas he tried to do just a bit too much at times with us, and I think that's where some of the slightly weaker performances were. But he's a miss for sure. There's no sour grapes. We're not going to pretend he's not a solid player. We'd rather have him than not, for sure. And I can see him doing well in theory, stronger squad that Hibs have, for sure. I think you'll settle in. Like Gogic behind him, I can imagine would really support him. So I think that'll suit him well. Yeah,
I was going to my next question there. You sort of mentioned about somebody sort of like screening the back four. We've kind of got Gogic. So it's the sort of thing we're kind of trying to figure out if he's maybe going to be a backup for Gogic, but the way you're talking, it sounds like he could be quite complimentary playing beside him.
Yeah, I mean, I think if similar to us at times last season, I think if you lose that Gogic, who is the one guy that does that job in the team, you're not getting a replacement here at all. He's not a hard tackling spoiler of a midfielder who'll break up opposition attacks. He's someone, I hesitate to make this comparison, right, but see the difference with Scotland playing against England when they had Gilmour to take the ball off the back four, literally at any point when he's covered or not, and just a bit of calmness. That was much more Doyle Hayes' game with us than what Gogic does, which is kind of run through a brick wall and all that side of things. I wouldn't put him in that category. So I think he maybe missells himself when he says that he's a kind of screening midfielder and playing that slightly deeper role. I think you'll get much more out of him if you play him alongside someone that does the kind of gutsy stuff.
Yeah, but obviously I think it's a really exciting signing, quite a young signing as well. But thank you for taking the time to have a chat with us today about him. And I like to say people can find you at Misery Hunters, St Mirren podcast, and also the part-time fan blog as well, yeah?
Cheers. I'm sure you'll get us on for the next 10 signings you make from St Mirren over the course of the next 15 months. So.
You've probably seen a lot more of you. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, bud.
Brilliant. So thank you, Mark, for that. He's a bit cheeky there at the end, but yeah, I have to sign a few to be fair to him. So Stuart, I mean, you and me were kind of speaking as well as like saying the group chat and stuff about, maybe this is a backup to Gogic, but from the way that Mark's speaking, sounds that he's got a bit more to his game than that.
Sorry, Papa Stu or myself, Gav.
Yourself, aye.
I basically heard him there saying that we've signed Billy Gilmour, which is extremely exciting. I think obviously it's always good to get another fan's perspective, these type of things. Potentially could have called the consistency of a 21, 22-year-olds into play, especially in such a weird season. That we had last year. It would be good to kind of have someone with that kind of composure in the midfield and let kind of Gogic do what he does best. There, I would say.
Dave, what was your kind of initial reaction to the signing?
What, when it happened, or to what he's just said?
Both. Do both.
Well, when it happened, I'm not going to lie, I hadn't really heard of the guy, and then I'd heard them being spoken about on when I've watched like A View from the Terrace, and that they've done bits on him there. So I'd seen that, and then on the day of him signing, that was it James Fowler had tweeted saying, "Oh, Hart should jump in on this," and I was like, "Who is this guy?" So, but that's all I've really heard. I've never really paid attention to him when we've played. So
I've got the tweet here. Craig Fowler put not doing any scouting/analysis article on the signing, but I will say this, Hibs, you've got yourself an underrated gem. I'm a huge fan of JTG.
I think he sounds like he might be a bit like Dylan McGeoch. Like that's what McGeoch did when he was at Hibs. It was taking the ball off, and he just like kind of metronome, like calmness on the ball. So maybe it'd be quite a good thing.
Yeah, aye. No, I think 2 seconds. There's an echo.
It does seem as though we've got something in this player that's maybe something we were lacking last season, which is encouraging. I don't know if he will be an out-and-out starter, but when obviously Dundee United were looking at him, what Craig Fowler's saying there, that all seems quite encouraging when you've got opposition fans kind of gritting their teeth at you making a signing. But I'm a bit like Dave, it wasn't necessarily a name I knew straight away when we were linked, but it all seemed to move very quickly, which I suppose is a benefit. All football fans love a rumour about their team, whether it's good or bad, players coming in or out. Hibs seem to be almost the masters of playing the cards close to the chest with this kind of stuff, and all of a sudden it was kind of like the deal was on and then he'd signed.
Yeah, I did see it happen very quickly. Just to quickly say, we have temporarily lost Papa Stu and issues there. Hopefully we do get him back. But yeah, Dave, can you see him being in contention for a start? I mean, we're going to chat about the squad a bit more in a second, and this will kind of nicely lead us onto it. But do you see him as a starter?
Yeah, possibly. It just depends what way we do it, because we have got, like, you've seen it bandied about, a few jokes and that, but we've got about 1 million midfielders. So you've got to think if he's starting and Gogic is starting, like, is McGuinness starting? Scott Allen, like what's happening with Stevie Mallet, like just all that type of thing. There's quite a lot of central midfielders, so we're just it depends how he plays in pre-season, and he'll get his chance in the European games, and then we'll see for there what system suits best.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting one. I think it's quite an exciting signing, and like I say, let's jump into the rest of the midfield. What does the squad need? And let's have a chat about the midfield. But Dave, as you sort of said there, there's been a thing, too many midfielders. There's been a thing bandied about. So I mean, we kind of spoke about him earlier on, Stuart. Scott Allen, potentially a big season for him, and maybe one of the reasons why Irvine will not be that much of a miss.
We had the same kind of excitement about Scott Allen last season, but it is like signing a new player. Delighted that his health issues have now been placed under control, things like that for it now. And Scott Allen on his day is one of the best midfielders in Scotland. I will say that. And between having him, a fit McGuinness, a fit Cadden, and a fit Murphy, you're starting to. These are guys that we just really didn't see a lot of last year. So it's actually quite exciting. And I don't know how much we're kind of needing to strengthen in those type of areas with that before moving on for other parts.
Got Papastu back, should be back in a second. But Dave, as we're waiting for Papastu there, you mentioned McGuinness. I mean, a bit of a big season for him as well. Do you think there's a bit of pressure on him for him to deliver as well?
Yeah, because when we signed him, there was a bit of expectation around him, and then since then, Jack Ross has said that he hopes that McGuinness is the answer like next season. In terms of like it should be like a fresh signing because he's kind of been stop-start, and he hopes that that's where a lot of goals will come for midfield. So the fact that Jack Ross is saying that makes me think that obviously he's in first team plans. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him because he's not hit the ground running at all. It's been a very, very stop-start.
The thing, we signed the guy, he did have an injury, then he got COVID, and then there was kind of other things. He was really stop-start. I don't want to judge him on last season, but we paid a bit of a pretty penny for him from our old friends at St Mirren. I reckon the boy will come good.
I hope so. I think so too. I think that the fact that I know it's just a number, but the fact they gave him number 7 jersey as well, I think was kind of an indication that they've got high hopes for him. And it's obviously been a bit more start-stop than been hoped, but hopefully it gets started this year. Hopefully Papastu's internet is up and running. We're able to kind of get his thoughts on things. So, Papa, what was your thoughts on the balance in the midfield this season, and how do you feel looking at the balance in the midfield going into this season, looking at the players we've got?
Well, first of all, I thought that. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
I think what happened was Paddy, my golden retriever. I think he knocked out the Wi-Fi. he took a zoomer earlier on, and I was wondering what was wrong, and I went and checked all the boxes, and one was knocked out. So I'm giving him the blame.
Your comments on it that bad? Come on.
He's watching it and he's gone, "Okay, get him off." So anyway, I kind of thought Malin wouldn't have came back. I didn't think he'd have came back because something's happened. He's out the plans, and for being an ex-St Mirren guy playing under Jack Ross is weird. Something's happened, broke down between Napier. So we didn't really miss him. I'm liking what I've seen so far of Doyle. Doyle Hayes, is it? Hey, Doyle. Doyle's. I'm like, I don't know. I just like the look of the laddie. He looks athletic. I've seen him. I don't know if you've seen the actual piece on him doing his medical, and he looks very fit, box to box player. And I seen that goal that Scott Allen put through. Who scored it now? The one that was on.
Daniel Mackay scored the goal. The new winger from Inverness.
The wee flick that put through to Allen, it was just a nice wee flick. So he's good on the ball, and I think a guy there from St Mirren podcast is maybe right in what he says. I think that Doyle's maybe saying what he's so good at, I think, is an attacking midfielder. He's maybe not really came in. He's maybe playing it down. But I think that was outside 18-yard box that he was playing, and he'll look quite clever on the ball. So midfield, maybe Jack Ross's. How many midfielders have we got? Must have about.
Well, I can run through them now. Good thing I've got them prepared here. So we have Kellen McGuinness, Dre Wright, Joe Newell, Alex Gogic, Stevie Mallon, although rumoured to be heading off, Daniel Mackay, Milker Hallberg, Jake Doyle-Hayes, Scott Allen, Chris Cadden, and Jamie Murphy. Jamie Murphy was listed as a forward, but I mean he never plays up top. He plays in the left wing, so he's a aye. And I guess
you could shout bingo from that. I wouldn't have got them all.
So you're talking about 10 or 11 midfielders. So I would imagine, I don't know what I missed, but I would imagine that I think Hallberg could be on his way out, because he'll be wanting first team football, so he could be away. Mallon, so there's two. We've got plenty covered.
Dre Wright as well. Just hasn't worked for him.
Nah.
Yeah, on my notes, that was the three names I had there: Mallon, Wright, and Hallberg. Dave, do you see those three going, or do you see any other ones, or do you see any of them staying and proving people wrong?
Nah, I think Mallon will go back out on loan, which is a bit weird. You'd probably rather, if he wasn't in the plans, he was just sold. Dre Wright, I can see him going somewhere, back to St Johnstone or something. Mind you, I say that as if that's a bad thing, going back to a double cup winning side. I don't think he'll be making that step up, sadly, for him. And then, what was the last one? Hallberg. Hallberg done all right towards the end of the season, but
yeah,
I'd quite happily have him as like a squad player, but it's just whether he'll do that or not.
Whether he's happy with that or whether he wants to be playing. Yeah.
I think we need better than that for starting, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Stuart, we're going to have a look at the rest of the squad in a sec, but I mean, I guess the midfield's probably the best time to kind of chat about this. How do you see Hibs setting up next season? Do you see the 3-5-2 continuing, or maybe get the best out of Scott Allen with 4-2-3-1? How do you see them setting up?
I really don't know. We had a lot of practice at the start of last season about formation liquidity, so kind of getting a lot of movement, things like that. So will we kind of take it game by game and not have a solid, this is how we set up, other teams have to come back at us, or are we going to go out there and change to get the best out of players against certain teams? So I just really don't know. I suppose kind of the answer might come with more signings to see how we strengthen up the defence, what we want to do there, and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, Papa Stu, I mean, sort of mentioned it there about, the formation stuff. We had quite a settled 11, I say more so the second half of the season. Is that something Jack Ross will try and work towards, or can you see that sort of changing depending on the opponent with having different options?
It's very difficult, Gav, because he's got a budget, and if he's bringing in players like any other manager at any other club, he'll have to offload players to bring them in. So I'm really, like Stuart, it's very, and I think until another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I still think that we don't know yet until we see who's going out and who's coming, because they might have another couple of players coming in. I'm honestly, it's hard to. Jack Ross is always quiet. It's very hard to read that man. So you don't know. Might be another couple of players. It's honestly, I've not got a clue with that. Very difficult. It is.
Dave, I mean, the sort of first summer signing is Daniel Mackay. I mean, it's hard, obviously, I don't know about you, but I never seen much of Inverness last season, but he did get in the Championship Team of the Year, very highly rated. Murphy sort of hit or miss in terms of form and sort of injuries in that position. Do you see him as a potential starter for Hibs?
Yeah, well, that's just what you've got to ask yourself, though. He played left wing, aye?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we are playing 3-5-2, how do you squeeze him in? If you've got Doig left wing back, then you're playing 3 more central, 2 up top. He doesn't really fit in, does he?
No.
He would fit more into the 4-2-3-1 with Boyle on the right, him on the left, with Doig up top, Purcell or something. That would
Scott
maybe
Allen
work
in the
with
middle.
Scott Allen behind, but then do you play Gogic and Doyle Hayes, or where does Joe Newell go? Play the season, you know what I mean? So
Options. It's good to have
Yeah.
options.
And also, great point brought up on the chat here. Thanks for getting in touch, guys. K Rob, 1989. Another question: do we have enough depth in our squad, given potential for group stage football with the European Conference League? So we might be looking to hold on to a few more bodies than we normally would in positions to play Sunday league games.
It's good that we do need that squad depth. I think there's an argument though about too many Fiedlers. Papa, so you were going to come in with something there, sorry.
Yeah, just what Dave was saying there, and you asked the question about Mackay. I did see him. I mentioned this before in the pod. I seen him against. Was it Morton? I seen him against Morton in one of the playoffs or one at the end of the season, and I think that Scotty Allen's probably told the gaffer to bring him because they were playing well together, and Scott Allen played a couple of nice balls in for him, and I think he scored one of them. And I thought I think you'll maybe remember this. I actually thought it was the other Mackay. Was it Billy Mackay? Because I've never seen the guy before, and he scored a screamer, and I just thought it was Billy Mackay. But because he plays it, he's like Inverness or Ross County. He's always back and forward there. So I have seen him, but I didn't know who it was. And Scott Allen, was he up there on a scouting mission? You know, to when he was up there on loan so was he up there to watch to see him and also get first time football? So you never know.
Aye. It's good to hear that partnership's already kind of started, and I think Jack Ross spoke about in terms of pre-season they were able to get him in before because obviously the championship season finished earlier. He was actually training with the boys the last couple of weeks of the season, so he's already kind of done that settling in process. And that's meant he can kick on even sooner, which is good. But yeah, lots of options in midfield. Let us know, like say in the chats, and if you're listening to the podcast at HFC Talk, which midfielders you think will go and how you think you'll see us setting up. But let's have a chat about the defence now. So I mean, quite a few options in defence. Stuart, I'll come to you first on this. A fully fit Cadden, is he now the first choice right back? A bit more attacking, a bit more often going forward.
Yeah, would be for me. I was really impressed with what I saw with Cadden. Kind of chucked in far too much at the deep end for the St Johnstone semi-final in the League Cup. There was just a few things not right that day. Let's leave it there. Obviously had his back injury issue towards the end of the season. But fully fit Cadden back in full training. Yeah, absolutely delighted to have him in here. Gives us a bit more kind of solid. And I tell you, he's no slug either.
Yeah, really quick. I think, this right winger earlier in his career and he's sort of transformed back to right back and obviously right wing back depending on the formation. But yeah, I can see him starting. I think it's kind of a tough one in terms of where Paul McGinn comes in. Obviously, if you're playing the back five, potentially right centre back, we'll come back to centre backs a bit more in a second. But to me, I think Cadden's kind of the first choice right back now. But Dave, on the left hand side, if Doig does go, obviously a lot of links with Watford and things like that. Do you see Hibs bringing in a new left back, or do we go with Louis and Mackie? Is that enough?
I think we'd bring in someone else. Mackie's obviously had his chance, then got shipped out to Dundee, then came back, and I thought he'd done quite well. But then Doig coming through just kind of shoved him back. But we never even seen him towards the end of the season. I don't know if he was injured in that, wasn't he?
He's injured, yeah. Long-term injury.
Yeah, so he's not had the best run it either. But I think we would need to bring in another one. If I'm being honest. Yeah. I
mean, Papa Stu, as nice it is to kind of hope that Mackie does have a proper future at Hibs, and I mean the fact that Hibs are keeping him around is quite promising. But I mean, if somebody's had that injury troubles, if Doig was to go, we couldn't rely on just Louis there. We would need somebody else, wouldn't we?
What age is he now, Mackie?
I'll look that up while you give your thoughts on him.
Well, see, the difference is, guys, about Doig and Mackie. Doig's 18, right? He's 18-year-old, and look what he's done. He is a different caliber to Mackie. Mackie, okay,
22, yes.
22, right? So he's 3.5 to 4 years older. Now he should actually have, even if you average it out, maybe about 25, 30 games a season. Say 25 games a season extra, more than Doig. So he should have at least maybe even 70, say 60, 20 games a season. And he's not done it. I know he got hung out to dry when after the Rangers game, and I didn't like that, but because he was coming good then. But it's then opened up to Doig. So I think that for being 22, he should actually have been away to other clubs and played maybe at least 3 seasons on loan. So he's got that experience, because a young player looks to have about 20, gets to his 25 games and then 50 and then 75 within 3-4 years for experience to get into a top team. And Mackie's no had it. But Doig, he just about played every game of the season. And for his age, keeping out Louis, who's a good player still, he's kept him out. The only time
at no point under Doig did I think, he's just a young laddie or anything like that. He was head and shoulders. His maturity on the pitch was brilliant.
Stuart, that's why there's teams coming in for him for 2, 3, 4 million, 5 million, right? Because he's just showed he's that level. He's consistent. That's you can't take that away from a young boy at his age. That if he's not consistent, that's what lets young players down. That they make mistakes and then they panic. That guy doesn't panic.
Dave, have we got to be a bit careful though? I mean, I always remember when McGinn left, and then, I mean, we were guilty of it in this podcast as much as anybody else. Every sort of midfielder that was in the team afterwards, the likes of Slivka and stuff, and the way we tried to Malin and we tried to set up the midfield, we would always just be comparing to John McGinn. John McGinn is like superstar. Is it maybe whoever is left back next season, if Doig does go, if he's, sold on to somebody like Watford for a lot of money, should we not be comparing to Doig, who obviously, or should we kind of be aiming really high for standards of every position?
Doig, see, to me, like, Doig's no like the complete article yet, so it's not like we're watching this, like, for me, superstar at the moment. I just think he's got loads of potential. There has been a few games he's had mistakes, and didn't get me wrong, like, was he at fault for the goal at the cup final? Nah, probably not. Rooney's just a lot bigger than him, but he didn't have blinders in the games that mattered. But you see a lot of potential. So I think if we did sign somebody, I don't think they wouldn't have this superstar like name to live up to, because he's not quite there yet, in my opinion. But I think he will be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens for him over the next few weeks, and whether we're coming. I mean, I know sort of people were saying about McCann at St Johnstone, potential one, but one that there has been a bit more reports in terms of interest in St Johnstone player. Obviously, there was rumours about Jason Kerr. However, the last few weeks it's been Jamie McCart. Hibs are one of several clubs interested and expected to submit a second bid after an opening offer of around £200,000 was rejected. That's from the Edinburgh Evening News. I mean, sure, Jamie McCart coming off a fantastic season.
Yeah, he is. I suppose certainly part of the stingiest defences in the second half of the season. Once Callum Davison came in there, he's done a fantastic job, much to our dismay. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of numbers we're looking at. St Johnstone will want to hold on to Kerr or McCart, whichever way it kind of falls. But I can't see them holding on to them, whether their destination's Hibs or Championship England. I'm not quite sure.
Dave, do you see this as Hibs obviously have put an offer? Do you see this as a potential like replacement for Porteous, trying to be ready for that, expecting a bid for Porteous, or do you try to see, or we're trying to upgrade what's already there?
Well, I think we need to upgrade what's already there, so I hope it's that. Because I hope if Porteous goes, we sign another one. Because I wouldn't be that chuffed going into the season with the centre halves that we've got. I want it better. I mean, better for Europe if we're going to be serious, or if we're not just happy just to turn up.
Big question for me as well, though. Where does McGregor fall in all this? Obviously, came in, was an absolute superstar for us. He's still not going to be in our full plans. There was talk of Partick Thistle coming in for him as well, even though he's still got a well contract with us. Hopefully moving into the new David Gray type role for us as well. So we're needing another big commanding centre-back for me.
Yeah.
Someone who's very vocal and can run through a brick wall. Is that too much to ask?
Well, I'll say on McGregor, I've got a bit there, so I'll ask you all this. It doesn't need. This is just sort of short answers from you all. So stay or go for McGregor, and I want from Hibs' point of view whether you would keep him, and from his point of view whether he should go out and get minutes in the last few years of his career. So just sort of stay or go from both points of view. Papa Stu, start with yourself.
Stay, and he's mentioned it already that he's happy enough to be a bit part player and do his bit what he done last season.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. Stay and stay.
Dave?
Stay and stay.
Hope so. I will be very sad if Darren McGregor leaves. But yeah, I mean, so Dave, you sort of mentioned it there. I'm coming on this, and since you mentioned it, the prospect McGinn, Porteous, and Hanlon still being the back three in 2 or 3 months' time, well after the transfer window's closed, you wouldn't be happy with that?
No, I just think I know that the defence done well at points in that last season, and they had a good record outside the Old Firm. So when you throw stats like that, as you're kind of like, right, fair play. But you've seen some of the individual mistakes, and I don't think it's going to be strong enough to compete in Europe and to go again this season, especially when teams are going to be getting strengthened. Like Aberdeen won't be as weak as this. Hearts will be playing against more teams that are going to be coming at us. I just think that's a problem.
Papa, so do you agree with that? Would you be concerned if it's McGinn, Porteous, and Hanlon still the back three?
It has to get shaken up a wee bit. We'll have to. Well, we'll put it this way: Hanlon's 30-year-old, coming up 31. I don't think they'll get they'll never get rid of him. He'll be ending up like McGregor and Gray. So he'll be there. He'll always be there. We do need. What did they say? We need another centre half, a big centre half who's going to push them on, because we need somebody in there just to freshen up the defence.
Yeah,
there was too many times last season where things were maybe no perfect with the defence, and we were looking at it saying, well, we'll have to go with them again. There was no competition. There was no quaking, I'm going to lose my space here, anything like that. So we need something there. And whether Hanlon's been a fantastic servant to the club, there's no disputing that. I think almost we're starting to kind of get a bit of more of a wind down from him, I'm afraid.
Aye, I mean, Alex, I'm still a big Hanlon supporter. I think he was brilliant last season. I think it was one of his best seasons last season. I have no issue with Hanlon starting every game. Like say about I agree with about the competition. Though I hope that we bring somebody like McCartan in and somebody else if Porteous leaves. I think we need, at least another one in there. I completely agree with what Dave was saying there. And I mean, like I said, we're talking about squad depth and stuff and making sure we've got the numbers. Somebody who's back at the club and can play left back, although more sort of right-footed, is Tom James. Sure, is he the answer for left back if Doig goes?
the real forgotten man.
Aye, second chance.
Well, why not? He could be this season's Joe Newell, the man that we all kind of wrote off, but he comes back in. Had a great season at Wigan, all things considered. I think he's not short of suitors down south. Whether Jack Ross fancies him, or we just kind of get a bit of a payday from him and move him on, or he comes in and does a pre-season and does he want to stay? Does he want to fight for a place? No idea.
Yeah, David, it's a strange one how well he's done elsewhere, but not at Hibs. I mean, to be fair, he's not exactly had a run in the team, though, has he?
No, he's not had a chance at all. this one could go either way. I'll be honest with you, I probably do fancy him just to leave. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think this, but I just think that's what he'll probably want because he didn't have the best time up here, and he's obviously done well down south at the clubs he's been at. So I think that's probably what he'll do.
Daniel Mackay given the number 17 jersey, which was his jersey. So maybe that is a sign of things to come. But let's have I think that's all this sort of stuff with the defence. Let us know if you would be happy with the same defence or whether you think we need to upgrade. And I have to find out where I am on my notes. Here we go. So let's.
Well, we've
talk
covered
about
the midfield, the defence. What do you think's next, Gav?
Drum roll.
Back to the keeper. Yeah.
So yes, we are obviously talking about I'll be honest, I never wrote down the goalkeeper. Let's quickly just say happy with goalkeepers, happy with Macy and Dabrowski as a number 2. Getting cup games.
Very much
sorted.
so.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the most exciting part of the park, although I do like watching the midfield. The attack. Papa Stu, Nisbet, will he be here next season? Will he be here after the transfer window shuts?
No. His agent is putting his name out to every man in the Doug's team.
There's the people that are watching live. There's a little scroller bit underneath, and there's 2 stories which we've got down there in relation to that.
His agent's banding his name about, and if it's true about the 2 teams in Russia, they'll be offering him 15 grand a week, no problem. And if he's what we've heard about him, that he's chased the money since he started getting into the professional football, which isn't a bad thing.
Football's a short career. You got to do what you got to do.
Of course, listen, Gav. Honestly, I've dealt with football players, but I'm telling you now, if he gets offered 15 grand, what's 2 years out going to Russia? Gary O'Connor done it, and if
struggled with it though.
Yeah, but that was Gary O'Connor. Listen, great football player, but he couldn't. He's never. Anyway, we're not going into that.
Yeah, let's start digging this hole.
Nisbet, football players are totally different now. But Nisbet, if he gets looked after, he could go over there 2 years. Even if he signs a 2-year contract, he might be back within a year, because if he does well, he moves on again, and he comes back could be coming back to England or wherever. So, if you're getting offered 15 grand a week over in Russia, why not? It would be, I would do it.
If he does go, how do we replace those goals in the team?
Well, I'm going to give the answer that some people start pulling their hair out, especially Stephen. You just, I'm going to say it. Yeah.
Didn't I say it? I'm not going to hear it pull out.
Nope, you just sign Lee Griffiths. Simple as that.
Correct.
Lee Griffiths has just committed to another year at Celtic.
He's no. It's all a play, mate. You don't understand. You've been fooled. It's all a play.
So you think Celtic would take a chance on signing a player to another year contract just on the off chance that they can strike an agreement with Hibs, who they've had difficulty striking deals with in the past?
Yes, because we've got something. They've got something that we want.
Aye, correct.
So that's what I think, and that's what I think will happen. They'll be like, well, here's Nisbet, 3 million, and there's Lee Griffiths, and I'll be like, one man.
So there you go. You can actually think about it, guys. Maybe the agent's saying we've got, who's going to talk to anybody in Russia? We've got 2 teams in Russia that is after Nisbet. So Celtic are going, shit, we better get in there. And then what do you use? Listen, it could all be sorted out behind the scenes that we didn't even know. Could be that Griffiths is coming here.
Right. So I mean, Stuart, I don't know if you buy into this conspiracy theory. I don't know if you want to get the tinfoil.
No, I left my tinfoil hat downstairs. Sorry.
Right. I mean, so other than Griffiths, which is just the answer for everything, how else would you replace the goals if Griffiths was unattainable?
I'd like to know. I'd like to know what Nisbet is like round about the squad as well. What do his teammates think about him and kind of his attitude and things like that? I'm not suggesting there's an attitude problem, but there's clearly been dips and things like that. The guy's put in a transfer request practically everywhere he's been in his career for it. His agent's constantly touting him to be away, bigger, better things. Understandable. But right now, Hibs hold all the cards. He's got 3 years left with us. We're not having to push to get rid of him or anything like that. We might not need to replace the goals. But I've said for long enough that Hibs have been shy of striker anyway. So if one's leaving, we're still needing another 2 coming in.
Dave, could you see Doidge and Boyle being the main 2 strikers and having competition behind them?
No. I can't see that now. I agree with Stuart. We need somebody else. And they 3 have performed well together. That's where our goals came from last season. And you're right. We probably do need competition in behind for midfielders banging them in. But I don't think that would be the answer. I think we would need to bring somebody in, and I think Griffiths and Doidge would work together brilliantly.
See, just on the chat on Twitch, somebody said Doidge didn't travel to England. So that's
a bit of an odd one. Maybe we're looking for 3 strikers.
I didn't say that. I couldn't cope with Doidge going as well. Nah. Surely it's an injury or it's not like he should have been up in the Wales squad and having time off. That's what it should be. But anyway, that's why Wales went out.
Yeah, Reedy's causing some trouble on the chat as well. Just basically saying Jamie Gullen, and also who's the main striker for St Mirren. Might as well just take them as well. Actually, it must be cheaper at this stage just to buy St Mirren. Surely to Christ.
Papa, I know you sort of spoke about Mackie being 22 and stuff, and kind of I think Gullen's is actually the same age. Is he any chance of him having a real impact this season at Hibs, or do you see him going out on loan again?
I think he's got to try. I think they've got to try and give him a chance now. He's got. If the guys are talking about 2 and 3 strikers that we need, we have to keep him because he's no young boy. 22, he should be pushing for a space in the team now. But if Doidge or Nisbet goes, we have to use the money because if Doidge goes and Nisbet goes, we've got to go into transfer market and get 2 good strikers. We can't just go and try and get a player for the championship that might come good. We can't do that again.
But there's nothing worse than other clubs knowing you've got money. If we cash in on Nisbet, then all of a sudden the price for any player we inquire about goes up. That's just football.
Yeah, but Stuart, what you do is you buy before. You keep it quiet and you buy before. You didn't go and sell it, put in the paper, and then say, right, we're needing a centre forward, and then they put the price up. We fucking get in there, and they should know that, because that's like in any business,
So a name that's jumped up quite a few times in the chat. Thanks for everyone who's getting in touch. Shanklin.
He would not be cheap. I don't know how much we're going to get for Nisbet, but
we wouldn't get much change of £1 million for Shanklin.
I think the same sort of price.
And apparently he's way above our wage structure already.
Yes,
Dundee United were wanting to cash in on him.
He'll go down south. Yeah.
So sorry, everybody in the chat. Maybe.
So Dave,
who knows?
What everyone's seems to be saying is we can't, take a gamble in terms of a striker coming in. So what they're saying is we need somebody that could come in, maybe knows the club quite well, could hit the ground running. I mean, Florian Camberry's probably looking for a fresh loan after heading back to his Belgium club.
Nah, doing that would do well, mate.
Nah. Serious question though. Obviously, we're talking about these folk hopefully still being there. Boyle, a lot of interest in him in the last couple of years. Will he still be there? Are you left on his deal?
Well, I don't know.
It's a 2-year deal. It's a 2-year deal last year, so a year left on his deal.
It's only going to have a year left in it, so it's just whether. Well, we're not going to be desperate to sell him, so just if a bid comes in, and then it's good enough, then we're a selling club, aren't we? When we want to be, or when it fits. So I think if something came in, then maybe
Have we got a season to go with him? Did you say?
Yeah. One more. So clubs can talk to him in January.
Right. They'll sell him in the summer, and that's for me, okay? So let's record that. I'm telling you now, he'll be away.
So kids, You're buying your new Hibs shirt. Don't get any names on the back. No one's going to be here.
I'll tell you why. If Hibs I've gave him a contract, when we did, and increased his wages, they're wanting money back. And if they run that down till next year or till January, and then in January he's moving on, he'll not play for the last few months like everybody else. They'll keep themselves because they're going elsewhere. So Hibs, in my opinion, will get rid of since he's got a season to go. And the reason being, he's been playing for Australia and he's been playing well.
Yeah, very well for Australia.
So I think he'll get a move and he'll treble his wage.
So we've got Gullen leaving, Nisbet leaving, Boyle leaving, Doidge leaving because he's not headed out to the training. We've got Halberg leaving. Who's staying?
Jay Wright's leaving.
Jay Wright's leaving. Aye. It's concerning.
Is that somebody leaving?
No, that was my Star Trek.
That's a Millennium Falcon.
Millennium Falcon MP3 player thing, like audio thing. The battery's down on it, but I've turned it off, so it won't do that noise again. Apologies for that. But yeah, Dave, anyone that hasn't been mentioned that's going to leave?
Porteous, he'll leave.
Doig.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Doig probably will leave. I can see him going down south.
Right. So it's an interesting one. It's kind of like in terms of where the squad is, it kind of depends on who goes and who doesn't go. Like I say, obviously getting our opinion on who we think will go and who won't go. Let us know who you think is going to stay, who's going to leave, and who maybe has to come in. And please give us more. I'm sorry, but like give us more intelligent answers than Lee Griffiths. No offense, Dave. Come on, there's more at Hibs transfer market than just signing Lee Griffiths. Anyway, let us know your thoughts. Who you want to see a sign in. And I didn't want to see Griffiths as a sign in.
Really good point. I don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to throw it open to the floor. Thank you, Monarch Mark II. Will Jack Ross sign a new deal? How long was Jack Ross's deal when he came to us?
I thought it was a 3-year deal. That's a good point.
The manager signed
he'll sign a new contract. Yeah, so
did he?
Well, yeah, because otherwise, where did he pay them?
So, but I just thought a manager would just stay and then that would be it. But I suppose I wouldn't imagine a manager running out of contract and being like, "Oh, I've left because my contract's run out."
I suppose it's a lot easier for a manager to say leave if he just fancies a new deal. He quits the club. There's nothing to stop. There's nothing to really stop them. Then teams come to compensation agreements later on.
Yeah. No, I think he'll sign a new deal. I think that's the club love him. I think he's enjoying it here. I think he sees he can build up his reputation and do something more long term here. So yeah, very confident about that. We'll come to the rest of your questions in a minute. The last point I had here. Let's be a bit more positive. We're doom and gloom about everybody leaving. Youth players to kind of step up and kind of help be a part of the squad. I've got 3 names here, but I know there is more. I don't have Laidlaw written down, for example. But I mean, first name I've got here, Josh Campbell. Dave, I mean, I remember going to a few pre-season friendlies with yourself and being impressed with him. Thought he was quite good on the ball. Is he somebody that could be in and around the squad, especially with more games of Europe?
Yeah, but what age is he as well?
I don't have everybody's age. 2 seconds.
Yeah, but you're saying that because I just think we've just always got these youth players that just never get a chance. And it's like, what age are we starting to bleed people in? And again,
he's 20, just turned 21.
Yeah, and he's not had a proper. It's still young, but he's not had a proper chance yet.
To be honest, Dave, 21's not really knowing the game nowadays.
Nah,
that's true.
It's not. You know, when you think about, and I know Wayne Rooney was an exception, right? But he played when he was 16. I kind of looked about 36, but 16. Now, I know that the next name is probably O'Connor. Is that in year 3, Gav?
He was on the 3, so we can talk about him.
Right, and that's the reason I'm wanting to say it, because Wayne Rooney was an exception at 16. Now, why not get the lad O'Connor in around the team and be at Saturdays? He might not be in this squad, but he's travelling. He'll have his trackie on. He'll be there at the games. Get them along and be in amongst them. Somebody might get injured at warm-ups or something, put him on the bench. The laddie,
Well-
if he's anything like his old man's big. You know,
And he came in at a young age as well, Gary.
He did,
Aye.
yeah. We gave
And
him a bottom 6 run at the end of the season. I think he scored in practically every game.
well, Stuart, Gary O'Connor is a big lad, and I don't know how big his laddie is. If he's grown, big like that. If he is, get him in. As Dave said, we didn't give laddies a chance before we ken it. They're away, and they've never had a chance. Give the laddie a chance, even if it's 5-10 minutes. That's not going to kill him. 10 minutes.
There was a few times last season, and we were up in games, and some of Jack Ross's substitutions almost kind of make you shake your head. You're thinking, no, get a young laddie on, get them his win bonus, make him feel a bit more part of the squads, give him a chance and get him a run out there in a game that you're just seeing out.
Well, I mean, Stuart, Papa Stu just mentioned there about, being in the tracksuit, being around the squad, like being in the squad, but not making the match day squad, and being on the bench from time to time and being in around it. A lot of time last season was Stephen Bradley. Is there an opportunity now for him to take a step further and have a lot more minutes this season? I mean, somebody that a lot of people are really excited about. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. From what I saw Bradley briefly last year, I was very impressed. Why not give him a chance? And there was a few times we were watching games and like stream-alongs, things like that. We were all saying it. So again, is it another one to add to the midfield problem? But I'd much rather see a young laddie coming in than just kind of filling a slot for sake's purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember speaking to Jack Ross in sort of like the lead up the sort of last few games of the season, and I kind of asked Dave if there was opportunity for him to get minutes, and he kind of said maybe not so much this season, but definitely next season, and kind of compared him to kind of like, if Doig was the breakout star this season, he kind of tipped Bradley to be that one this season. Is he one that you're quite excited by?
Yeah, well, when you hear that type of thing, then obviously it kind of helps. But I've not seen much of him. But why do we need to have like one a season? Can we not bleed a couple in at this one time? I mean, look at that, the golden kind of age when we had under Mowbray and that, and there's like loads of them all coming through at once, and it's like you kind of want to be that type of club, and fans enjoy it as well when like their owner coming through. Seem to get a lot more leeway, and because it's exciting.
Aye, Dave. On the Twitch, what's his name? The foot streamer. He says, "I'm just saying that about the laddie O'Connor because it's Gary O'Connor's laddie. I'm not really saying that because of that. I'm saying it because he scores goals. That lad, every time you see him playing, and I know it's not the level that he's going to be coming in at, but I always say a goal scorer, if he kens where the net is, he'll do it whatever level. And Nisbet's just shown that. Nisbet it came from the lowest league straight up. He went back. He came to Championship, and now he's at Premiership, and now he's playing in International. So, the boy, foot streamer boy, is saying, "Oh, it's because it's Gary O'Connor." No, it's no. It's goal scorer, and that's what you need. And you've got to blood them through what Dave said. If you didn't blood these laddies when they're young, they'll lose interest and they'll just say, "Fuck this! I'm getting out of here. I want to go and play football." So we've got to give them a chance.
Aye, I mean, I think somebody that we've not helped his development is Ollie Shaw. He was somebody that knows how to score goals, and we messed him around having him as third choice, but not only getting him like 10 minutes or no even bringing him on, no putting him out alone because we wanted him as a third choice, and we're only giving him enough minutes. And then it's kind of stunted his development, and hopefully he kind of kicks on and proves us wrong this season, has a good season with Ross County. But Dave, I mean, there's some.
Sorry.
So there you go. Dave, that's one we've got to be careful with. No, make sure we just.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
On you go. What are you going to say? Sorry, on you go.
I'm just saying, just quickly. He scored that goal against Celtic in the semi-final at Hampden.
Aye.
And it was like, wow, what a player! Never got a chance again. Sorry. No,
it's fine. It's fine. I mean, Dave, it's one we've kind of got to be careful with youngsters. Make sure, I'm sure it's something they're learning from. Still making mistakes, like we said, but there has to be kind of like, right, how do we get the best out of these young players?
Yeah, there's loads of examples. Alex Harris, Ennis Murray, Fraser Murray, Josh Campbell, Mackey,
Stanton.
Stanton. How many young folk are coming through, and we're like, they wait until they're like kind of like low like 20s, and you're like, right, you're probably not going to be good enough, and then it's like they just kind of just go into football wilderness, and it's like, I don't know what to see that. The only one that's really done anything of late has been Porteous, and then obviously Doig now. But you want to see youngsters coming through, and I know what that foot streamer's saying. It's like you probably have an unconscious bias towards wanting O'Connor to do well because it's Gary O'Connor's son. So you kind of feel like there's that kind of wee success story, and it still blows my mind that he's even able to play for Hibs, because it doesn't feel that long ago Gary O'Connor was still kicking a ball.
Gary O'Connor being a 16, 17-year-old playing beside Brewster and learning his trade.
Yeah,
like I remember that so well. Like,
so it's kind of made me feel very old. Like the fact that that's happening. Well, I'll be Papa soon. I'll be Papa Dave, and you'll be Papa Gav. Like, that's
well, what the hell are you going to call me then?
No, I'm going to be here. I'll be in my box.
well done. You've got a promotion. You're a grandpapa.
But yeah, so I like to say, hopefully, some really exciting youngsters to come through and hopefully get some minutes. But yeah, so like I say, I know we've touched on some of them, but let's get your guys' questions. I'll kind of go through and see what we've got here. So we had a question here. Footstreamer saying, will McCart be discussed today? We did. We chatted about that. Matt is saying about make sure you subscribe because there's a lot of new content coming the way, the Friday show, which he's going to host, which we're really excited about. Kenny saying a lot of this will depend on who we sell. Yep, that's kind of like the point we're kind of making there. And we'll go through some of the comments here. Henry from St Johnstone. I don't know what
up top.
position.
It's Tingy's son.
Aye.
Is that the one that went on loan to Aberdeen?
That's what's his name? It's what's his name? Henry played for
Colin Hendry.
Colin Hendry, aye. He's bloody. I didn't rate him, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. Matt suggesting saying Jamie McLaren is smashing the goals down under. I don't think we'll be able to afford him, Dave.
Nah, you can just stay where he is. It's fine. Didn't fancy him back.
Charlie Banks saying Owen Doyle, anyone knows the club and scored a few goals this season. I mean, Stuart, he's had quite a few good seasons down south, hasn't he?
He really has, yeah. A player who I never thought we should have got rid of when we did, because I think we very much showed him the door, and we kind of lost out on that one massively. So, but now I'm afraid he's probably no coming back.
So Hells Bells 1963 thought Boyle signed a deal until 2023. I'll check just now, but I am sure it was a 2-year deal that he signed.
Yeah,
somebody said 2.5-year deal, so we might have him a tad longer.
He's got a release clause. The team will get a release clause that if someone comes in with an X amount of pounds, it can go.
That was all a bit unclear. According to transfermarket.com, I will mute this. Contract until May 31st, 2023. So yeah, maybe 2 years left for Boyle then, if that's correct.
Well,
so yeah,
that makes it different then, Gav, because
I'm getting corrected by my mum on a fucking stream. Brilliant.
Is that your mum?
That's my mum. Aye.
Hello, Mrs. Wilson.
As the comment you were sort of saying about there, about saying this just because it's Gary's son, Laidlaw was just as good and should get an equal chance. I mean, yeah, Dave Laidlaw, another exciting youngster that, it'll be interesting whether he's in and around the squad or put out on loan.
Yeah, and Jink, this is where the fact that under 21s football is no a thing is, do you think that affects things?
Massively so.
I think so as well.
You're not getting these guys playing on a regular basis against equal opposition. You're not able to bring guys back from injury. They're almost kind of thrown back into the deep end. Yeah, massive miss of the game.
Yeah, the fact that under 21s had a league and it was competitive. Like there was some competitive games. The development games for me are just, I don't know. There's nothing
Glorified
there, is there?
kickabouts.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Aye.
the worst thing that never done. It was the worst thing never done to get away the reserve league years ago. You know, this going out and just
Too many small clubs looking to cut corners.
Yeah, the reason they're doing it though is because they've maybe got one or two players in that league, in that club, sorry, and the rest of the players are never going to make it. But they need a living, don't they, to play in the park? So that's the reason that they're doing these leagues. I still think they should have a reserve league that if you're injured, you go and play the first 90 minutes, built up, and then come into the team. I think it's ridiculous.
Question here from Kenny: is Bradley not off to Edinburgh City for a year? So I believe Ryan Shanley is away to Edinburgh City for a year, but as far as I'm aware, Bradley's still in and around the squad, and like I say, highly thought of. And like I say, on that Ryan Marshall saying Bradley should have played a lot more last year. I completely agree. Hopefully more time for him this year. John with question here: if you could sign 3 realistic signings for this window, who would you take and why? So I mean, while the guys are having to think about it, Dave, you can start off with your first.
Lee Griffiths. I'd sign Lee Griffiths, and I'd probably try and be extremely greedy and get McCart and Kerr for St Johnson. Just take the two of them.
Wow.
There you go. And if you're telling me that signing a guy that can't get his game for Celtic and is in the early 30s and 2 folk for St Johnson is unrealistic, then might as well just chuck it in there.
Stuart, can you think of 3 that you're realistic signings?
I would like to see us make a big play for Kerr. Absolutely. I think he's kind of the player we want. We know he's a big Hibs fan as well. And okay, that isn't the be-all and end-all. Bit of an outsider. I'd like us to maybe take a look at that Seedorf at Motherwell. Every time I've seen him, I've been very impressed. Kind of causes a lot of trouble for us. And, you know, I'm just going to keep banging on about it. I just want another bloody striker. I don't care who they are, really.
Papa Stu, can you think of any names that you'd like to see brought in this window?
I'm like Dave. I want Griffiths in because I think Nisbet will go, and there'll be another striker which I've not got a foggiest just now.
Oh, what was the name of that striker we played against in the cup for Queen of the South? Young guy. He'd be quite good.
Not sure.
I can't remember his name.
Oh, what was his blooming name? That's going to annoy me.
Well,
come on, comment section. Help me out.
The main guy would be because you need goals, whatever you're doing, and I still think Nisbet will go. So Griffiths has to be a replacement, and I wouldn't mind him Nisbet to go the other way and him come this way. And as I say, another striker, and it'd have to be a left back if Doig's going. And I don't, as I say, you'd have to sort of take your time and have a look around the clubs, but a left back's, and I need a left back, no right back playing a left back position, Gav. You know what I mean? I want a left pegger like Doig he's got a sweet spot with his left boot. That's what I want. It can ping the ball in what Doig does.
Inverted fullback, Stuart, it's the way forward.
Nah, that's shite, man. You want a left pegger. Somebody like a way back years ago, like Kenny Sansom and all that, would ping that ball. That you can't beat a left pegger, and that's where Doig is. That's where he's coming in with his money because he is a top left back.
I'm going to say I'm just being corrected. It's Shields was the name I was thinking of, but he's already gone to Motherwell apparently.
Right.
So. But thank you very much for Ide the Fun Streamer. I hope I'm totally mispronouncing that.
Another question from them saying, did anyone watch the Matthew interview last week? Great watch. He speaks it well about our youngsters and giving them a pathway to the first team football. For anyone who hasn't seen it, that was with Not the Old Firm. Cracking interview. Ben does brilliant work. Really nice guy, Ben, as well. Met him a few times. But he had a great chat with Matthew. Check out if you've not. But yeah, like I say, I mean, that's one of the things that they kind of talk about But if players do leave, they've already got like 5 names lined up to replace. So if Doig does go, they've got like 5 names lined up to sign replacements. And it's kind of just sort of like about, and they'll all sort of go through processes of being prepared to, how much they need to spend, how much, and all that sort of stuff. So that's good that these sort of things are in place. Whether they come to fruition or not is kind of the more difficult bit.
See, a quick question there, right? So see within those 5 names that you're saying that they've got replacements for, are we including younger guys taking a step up to replace them in those 5 names, or are we just always signing rather than promoting?
That's a good question. We'll need to get Matthew on the podcast and ask him ourselves.
Just ask him that. That's the only thing I'd want to ask him. I'd only be 2 minutes at the start.
2 seconds, I'll go get my phone. My mum saying, you're welcome. Hi, everyone, for getting it corrected. Yes, so bye. Boyle's not going anywhere. That's at least one we can not worry about. Talking about that earlier on, Kenny saying, bring back the reserves leagues, and should we have a Colts team in the Lowland League? I am not for Colts teams, but maybe it's going to be, Stuart, would it be better than what we've got at the moment?
Yeah, as an option there, but I was very much anti-Colts team anytime Rangers and Celtic have tried to do it. They obviously tried to pony on the back of Hearts getting back into the top flight by chucking in Colts teams and things like that as part of restructuring. It's a bit of a dangerous thing to get involved, I'm afraid.
Yeah, aye. And K-Rob saying, shouldn't be selling to the Old Firm. Makes no sense to make them better. Would rather Nisbet went outside if Scotland if he were to leave. Dave, how would you feel if he went to Celtic?
It would. See, to be fair, and this is going to sound harsh, right? Because he was a top goal scorer last season, right?
Yeah.
I don't care when Nisbet goes, I just think. I think he's good, but I think he's replaceable. And
how would you feel if he went to Rangers?
Fuming, Absolutely love it. Anybody calling on that royal blue can get back. But
I think they're both sniffing around. So big evil clubs and 2 Russian clubs. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, let's get a bidding war going.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Get the bidding war. Take the best deal you can get, and if he ends up across in Glasgow, then fair enough. But we get Griffiths as part of the deal, or no deal.
If he goes to Celtic, Griffiths has to come back this way. End of. If he doesn't, you didn't sell him.
Who do we want from Rangers as part of the Nisbet deal?
Nobody. I like the man.
Greg Stewart.
He's left as free agent.
Is he?
Right.
I'd take him. I'd take him as a free agent.
So I can see him going to somebody like Dundee. Back to Dundee.
Just say, we want 4 million in Patterson. And when they tell us to fuck off, they say, well, we tried.
Matt asking if Dave's a closet Rangers fan.
No, is Matty wanting to host this thing on Friday or what?
Matt's going to be very lonely at this rate.
Monarch Mark 2. Where do you think Hearts will finish? Personally, I think they're going to get relegated again. Ha 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 ha. I think they'll be very comfortable top 6 personally, unfortunately. Dave?
Bottom 6, mate. I don't think Robbie Nielsen's the right man, but to be fair, I think he'll get sacked in October because the fans are on him. I don't think if they didn't have a good start to the season, then he's in a bit of bother. And who they got first game? Celtic.
Yeah, Celtic. At home, though.
Papa Stu?
They've hardly sold any bloody season tickets.
Yeah. True.
Their numbers are surprisingly low.
I think Hearts will be in the bottom 6. They've got a couple of years to get themselves back up again. They to get themselves like how they are, because the revenues, Stuart's just said, the revenue's not there. I think the Hearts fans have they've now looked at it and thought, they're knocking the eyes at us. And when was the last time when we've been in the same leagues have Hearts been selling less tickets at season books than us? I can't remember that. Even when they've been in the Championship, when we've been in the Premiership, they've always had more season books sold. So I think that they're just sort of saying to themselves, now, enough's enough. So I think they'll take a couple of seasons till they get themselves back up again.
We'll see. We'll see. It's at the end of the day, as much as I hate them, I'm delighted Edinburgh Derbies are back, especially with fans back. This is the game on the 2nd of January game is the game I'm looking forward to more than any game this season. So I'm delighted they're back, as much as we hate them. And it was funny when they were Championship. Funny for one season. I genuinely think I would start to miss them if they were away for too long, as ridiculous as that sounds. But yeah, thank you for your questions. So we'll start to kind of wrap up. Just a quick thing. We'll tweet out the links you need and things like that. But we go again with the fantasy football. We will have our league again. And yeah, congratulations again to Ewan Miller who won our league last year. And Dave, I know you were in a couple of leagues with Billy, including the North East Scotland Highbees league, and Billy pipped you on the last day of the season.
Last day of the season, mate, absolutely bottled it. I've not even got an excuse. Like I was going to say I took my eye off it and that, but I genuinely didn't. I just had some horrendous picks, and I think Billy went a few wild cards to try and overtook me, and it worked. So that was a bit of a dullion because it was 100 quid or something was to the winner. So yeah.
Aye, fair play, Billy, for that. But yeah, like I said, I put my team together. I have to say, the budget is a lot smaller than I kind of thought, because I remember I had Nisbet as my most expensive forward, and I ran out of money with still needing a central midfielder and 2 goalkeepers. So, it's kind of hard to budget. I've got a team, but I'm not happy with it, so I'll need to mess about with it over the next few weeks. But yeah, like I say, glad that fantasy football's back. And like I say, make sure you keep an eye on your socials. We'll get the link to our league up there as well. Make sure you update that app as well. It's one of the things you've got to do. But yeah, so we'll start to wrap. Dave, what's your plans for tonight?
Dinner, mate. I've just come straight for work, so I'm just going to go and get some spaghetti bolognese, and then I'm probably just going to chill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Papa Stu.
What's that?
Because I was putting out, you'll see why I'm doing it. So I was putting up the Twitter handles. Papa Stu, what's your plans for the night?
Well, it's just about finished, 8 o'clock, so there'll be nothing really on. Just maybe watch a bit of TV and then bed. Nothing much.
Nice. I'm having pizza tonight, like the healthy pizza, Joe Wick's pizza. So looking forward to that. I am absolutely starving. Stuart,
a wrap?
No, it's like 80 grams of self-raising flour and 80 grams of natural yogurt, and then you start it together and then roll it out into pizza dough. But yeah, and like so use like low-fat mozzarella and stuff, and still brilliant. And Stuart, I'm putting up everyone's Twitters here, but you don't have Twitter, but you have the Is It Fast Twitter. So if you can't get enough of Stuart talking about Hibs, if you're so let me get this straight. I said Motorhead, and my partner says no, that's a band. It's a petrol head, and I was like, but I thought Motorhead was named after people who liked cars and stuff. Is it Stuart? You're the expert now. Is Motorhead the correct term, or is it just petrol head?
No, it's more petrol head.
Right.
For that there, but yeah, if anybody wants to hear my half-baked opinions on cars and anything fast as well as football, delighted to have you join us. We cover everything fast from BTC sports, touring cars, speedboat racing, drone racing, absolutely everything with that, and we've always got a little bit of car news from across the world as well. So yeah, please do get involved. Thank you very much.
Speaking of cars news, I've got a wee clip to play here. So here's what you can. The great content.
Sport days are terrible.
The British Grand Prix at Silverstone is going to get all spectators. It's been listed as a test event. Potentially 140,000 people attending that Grand Prix. So that's good news.
That is amazing. We might be biased, but Silverstone is a fantastic one on the race card. People from all over want to see. They want to win there. As well, and there's already been people online moaning to say, 140,000 fans can go to Silverstone and see the F1, but I can't go to my kids' sports day. That's because kids' sports days are terrible. Have you actually been to one? Go to the F1 and actually enjoy yourself.
So yeah, check out Is It Fast. Some great content over there if you like cars. But yeah,
received a lot of love for that comment. Yeah.
Could you not went into your other studio?
I need to set one up for the cars as well, or just start like switching paintings around or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you can check out As It Passes as well. But yeah, thank you everyone who's sort of been on the live stream. Thank you for listening as a podcast after. We will be back next Monday. We'll be kind of briefly looking ahead to the Arsenal game. But next Monday is a quiz night, so we're going to be doing a big quiz night. They were kind of going to fall on like next week, and like I say, probably more. What's the international breaks when there's less Hibs to talk about? We're going to be doing quiz nights then as well. Callum, the defending champion, the Hibs Talk champion after winning the previous quiz, so he'll be defending his belt. So yes, make sure you join us next Monday for the quiz night, and make sure you follow us at the Cheap Seats Talk. Subscribe wherever you get your posts, all that stuff. But guys, thank you very much for tonight.
Thank you, Gav.
Cheers, and thanks again.
Cheers.